The name of this dish is paneer, which means peas and cheese in English. It's eaten with boiled rice. If you haven't boiled rice before, you can ask an adult to do that while you make the gravy. This portion serves 4 to 5 persons. Start by washing your hands and then gather the needed utensils. You will need teaspoon measure, tablespoon, something that you can measure cups with, a good knife, chopping board, a pot, spatula, and a hand blender if you have one. And now gather all the ingredients. You need oil, 1 onion, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 can of crushed tomato, 15 ounces, and then some Indian spices, jeera, turmeric, coriander, garam masala, which is a blend of different spices, chili flakes or chili powder, salt, frozen peas, 1 cup, which is about 6 ounces, ginger, about half an inch piece, and then some cheese, which can either be cottage cheese or some Indian paneer cheese or halloumi or ricotta. 7 ounces of that. And now you can get to work. We'll start by peeling the onion. Cut a little bit from the thick end, and then you can use your fingers to peel the rest of the skin. And you can cut a little bit from the thin end if there's some dry skin. Then cut the onion in half and start cutting vertical cuts so that you keep the thin end untouched, so it will keep the pieces together. And then the other way. The pieces don't have to be very tiny because you can use the blender afterwards to make a smooth paste. And then the garlic. Start again by cutting the thick end, just a little bit. And then again you can use your fingers to peel off the dry skin. And same for the other one. And chop the cloves to small pieces. And you can also use a garlic crusher if you have one. And the last one to be chopped is the ginger. You can figure out yourself what would be the best way to peel it. You can either use a large knife and cut against the chopping board so that the peels come out, or then you can use a small knife, or even a potato peeler might work out. And after you have peeled the ginger, chop that into small pieces also. And when you are done with the chopping, put all the peels into waste. Measure 2 tablespoons of oil into the pot. Any food oil is okay. And 1 teaspoon of jeera. Set the stove temperature a little above the middle temperature. For example, if the maximum is 10, you can set the heat to 6 or 7, or if the max is 6, then set it to 4. And soon you should start hearing this quiet hissing sound. If there's no sound, you can increase the temperature one by one, or if the sound becomes loud or the seeds start jumping, reduce the heat. And after a few minutes, reduce the heat anyway and add the onion, garlic and ginger. Now you can increase the temperature back to the same it was before the onion. Observe the onions. Once they are becoming softer and you can see a little through them, you can add salt. A little less than a teaspoon is okay. You can add more later if needed. And also the crushed tomatoes. Cover the pot with the lid and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. And the heat is good if the sauce bubbles a little but doesn't splash too much. Get a hot pot holder for the pot and let it cool. While the gravy cools down, chop the cheese into bite-sized cubes. Now we can puree the gravy. If you don't have a blender, it's fine. Then the structure of the sauce will be just a little different, but that's fine too. Now you can heat the sauce. Set the temperature a little above the medium temperature, and if the sauce starts splashing like this, then reduce the heat. And now you can put the lid on, leave it a little bit open, and wait for a minute or two so that it gets warm. Turn off the heat and add spices. A 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, small pinch of chili, then coriander, 1 teaspoon, and garam masala, about 1/2 teaspoon. Add also 1 cup of water. And at this point you can taste it a little bit and see if it tastes watery, then you might need to add a little bit of salt. Take a clean spoon and taste. Add the peas now. And if you are using cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, don't add the cheese yet, because it will melt and become lumpy. But if you are using paneer or halloumi cheese, you can add it at this point. Then you just heat the sauce so that the peas will become warm if they were frozen before. Just a few minutes in medium heat. In the meanwhile you can clean up. Wash the chopping board and the knife and put the spices back to where you took them from. Wipe the table and see if there's anything else you need to clean up. If you didn't add the cheese earlier, add it now And then you are ready to enjoy your matar paneer with rice.